decide to run?
Now we're on and we are live. We are live. So I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. As promised, we have our final city council candidate for Columbus. So we're going to have our special guest, Tiara Ross. And of course, we have Shatana, who is the chair of BIG. Come and join us tonight. And we're going to ask some questions to see, you know, basically how Tiara is. A lot of times the candidates only get 15, 20 minutes to talk about what it is they want to talk about. And then as you guys know, then from that point, it's over. So what we want to do is give you the opportunity to talk to your constituents, talk to the city of Columbus, and let them really get to know you. You know, a lot of times we don't get to talk or see how you are and get to meet you face to face. So I wanted to give the community that opportunity.
Well, thank you, Peaches, and thank you, Humanity First, and thank you, Shatana. I am super excited to share space with you all, and absolutely appreciate the opportunity for us to have more of an intimate conversation so that you can learn a little bit more about me and my passion for the city of Columbus and service to our community. And I say our community because we are absolutely in this together. And I hate to hear that, you know, residents don't oftentimes have the opportunity to interface with the folks who are raising their hands to be electeds or current electeds, because I think that's kind of backwards. And I think we need to do more to change that. And so I look forward to being a catalyst to that change and look forward to answering some of your questions today and having some good girl chat, it looks like.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know you've done a million of these. I've gone back and watched some of the interviews you did, and I was like, oh, well, I fall into your age range as to music and stuff goes. So,
yes.
So
are we elder millennials, or are we like, I can't figure it out. Are we the older ones or kind of right down the middle? I know we're not young millennials.
But don't judge. I'm kind of like Prince. So I say I'm in the 30s.
There we go. Same.
Yes. So, Shatana, you had a question first. Do you want to kick us off?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. So I think I was going in and out, so my internet's acting weird. I apologize. Were you able to mention why did you decide to actually run? I just want to know a little bit of background, like why you chose to run and where do you see yourself going once you're in this position?
Did she freeze?
Okay, so you're breaking up a lot, but I listened closely, so hopefully I caught the question. Why did I decide to run? You can just give me a thumbs up if that's a yes, if that's the question, and then give me the second part of the question again because I missed it.
Am I still breaking up?
Nope, you're there, Shatana. It's all good.
Okay, I was just asking why did you decide to run, and then like what are some of your plans once elected to your seat?
I hope she got it.
Oh my goodness, it would be my internet.
I knew it would have to. Did she? Look, we can't.
I'm so sorry. I am going to at least try to start with the why did I decide to run answer, and then hopefully we can figure out a way
Yeah.
to get some better service so I can hear the second part of the question. But I decided to run really because being born in Columbus, I was born to a single mother and ended up being raised by my grandparents, who were pastors in the community in District 7, actually, for over 50 years in the Milo Grogan community. And being with my grandfather every day, I would go with him to the church and very quickly just learned about the benefit of benevolence back to your community. I tell folks I've probably been serving the unhoused community since I was 3 years old, working in our clothing closet, serving food to members of our community. And it really instilled in me at a young age the responsibility of service. And so I've always had the passion for people, in making sure that folks have what they need to really thrive here in the city of Columbus. And so being born here, I have a lot of pride in our city. I'm super excited to see the growth that our city is getting ready to see over the next couple of years, but I'm very passionate about making sure that growth is equitable. And I've spent a ton of time in our most violent, most vulnerable neighborhoods. And I've talked to a lot of people, and it appears to me that, as rich as we are as a city in resource, those resources aren't necessarily making it to the folks that need them the most. And so that really is what drives my passion to want to run for council. I have been able to develop some really strong relationships over time. I've served as an assistant city attorney for almost a decade now. It's just past my 7th year anniversary with the city attorney's office. And it really has allowed me to develop a ton of relationships with the folks that you need to have relationships with to get things done. And I think I am, best suited in this moment in time where we need a local government that can take action and take action quickly to do the work. And I've heard from folks, I've been in communities that don't necessarily get to interface with our governing officials, and have really learned what it is that folks need. And I'm super excited to be able to hit the ground running, to be able to deliver real solutions to real people.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, it really does show when you are a part of your city, and like I said, I'm an area commissioner, like I said, 4 years. So just being on the ground says a lot. You get to hear from the people you serve all the time what their concerns are, and then you begin to get a part of the rhythm of the community. And really see, so when we do step into these higher positions, so on and so forth, we come with us the experience of knowing who we are already serving. So it's it's a gradual progression, and kudos for the, serving us with law.
Absolutely. And it's so cool to be talking to you, Peaches, because when I first started at the city attorney's office, I was assigned to, and I presume we'll talk a little bit more about the specifics of my work, but I joined what was then called the Zone Initiative. And the city of Columbus used to be split up into 5 police zones historically. Now it is 6 police zones. But at the time in which I started in 2018, we had 5, and I was assigned to Zone 2, which the Greater Southeast Area Commission was a part of. And so I remember I developed relationships with Ms. Van G and all the folks on the Greater Southeast Area Commission. And we would talk about places like Commons at Water's Edge, places that really needed assistance, right? In many different ways. And I think it is, area commissions are super important in that regard, right? They serve as a liaison between community and between government. And I spend a lot of time in our area commission meetings and talking to residents about the issues. And I love when community members raise their hands to lead. I know though that sometimes, we as a city and our infrastructure and how we build commissions sometimes don't incentivize diversity. And so some area commissions are full of diversity and some are not. And so sometimes we get caught in echo chambers of the people who have access to government, right? And sometimes those folks are not made up of Black and brown individuals, or not made up of immigrant individuals, or not made up of renters, or not made up of folks that have different experiences. And we don't necessarily get the full breadth of what it is that our community needs. And so I'm super excited to take on learn, not only for my engagement with the area commission, but my engagement in other communities to be able to really advocate for folks in council.
Oh, sorry. Yes. I mean, I totally agree. I served 1 year as vice treasurer, and vice zoning chair. And then I served 1 year as zoning chair. And it makes a great bit of difference when I think of like a nurse's aide, right? When she becomes a nurse, everybody enjoys her, everybody loves her because she knows the hard work that had to be put in and what the particulars are. I'm also a director of finance by trade. So I know that all the stuff that I learned in school, when you get in the field, that's when the work begins, right? So having that experience, I think, is very important for the community to know and be able to understand with you, that you do come with that already built in. It's not something that you're going to have to learn.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
I think it's part of your passion too. You got to just be someone who likes and loves community, right? And I don't shy away from that. It invigorates me. It excites me. I love being around people, hanging out, talking, learning about what it is that folks need, and then really being able to deliver that is what I'm here for.
Well, that's
what I feel called to do.
Oh, for sure, for sure. So I think my first question is, what's something about city government most residents don't realize, but they should?
Ooh, what is something about city government that most residents don't realize, but they should? I really believe that our local government makes decisions. Actually, I know this. Local government makes decisions that affect people's daily lives right away. And so oftentimes folks are very interested in what's happening at the federal level, even at the state level, and they disregard the things that the local government has control over and the ability to affect. And so when you think about, having running water, when you think about fixing potholes in the street, when you think about paving the snow, but also when you think about housing, when you think about tenant protections, when you think about making sure that our neighborhoods are safe, making sure that you have enough firefighters to respond to emergencies, making sure that you have enough police officers to respond to violent crime, or making sure that you're thinking about alternative ways to respond to nonviolent crime. All of those things come within the purview of our local government. And I think oftentimes your average citizen doesn't understand the full breadth of what our local government does and how it affects your daily life. And I think part of it is because, we don't do a good job educating our community. And so folks think that the things that we do are it's rocket science, and it really isn't. We just have to take the time to make it digestible for folks, to educate people and to meet people where they are, and not expect them to come to us, but to go out into our community. Because the reality is we're the ones with all the resources. So we shouldn't expect folks with less resources than us to get to us. We should be going out into the community and doing that work. Part of it is making sure our residents know exactly what local government does, which is a wide breadth and wide array of things that affects everyone's daily life.
Yes. And thinking about Columbus and the East Side and your knowledge of the greater East Side, in which I serve, we have the Eastland Plan coming up.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
What are your thoughts on? I know everything is moving and shaking. I've been privileged to be able to have a look at the plans and see how everything's going to, plan out and how beautiful it is. What is your thoughts around the Eastland Plan, and what are you hoping to see and be involved with once if you are elected?
Sure. So a couple things. One, I grew up on the East Side, so Eastland Mall is special to my heart. I remember being there. Peaches, we are around the same age, so that was a place where we had community, right? It was a place where you could go and meet up with your friends and eat at the food court and go to the Foot Locker and do all the things. That was the last lawsuit I filed before I got promoted to deputy chief of that team. And so you will see me on the nuisance complaint as the attorney that signed it, because it had gotten to a place where we were seeing too much nuisance activity on the property. So I'm very connected to that work, very connected to Greater Southeast Area Commission, also the Mideast Area Commission, who have been actively involved in what the Eastland plan should look like. And I think it is wonderful land for us to think about mixed use, for us to think about third spaces that we can add, where community can come together, but also housing, also retail opportunities, more green space so that children have the ability to build community as well. And I think there's so much going on and so much promise for that side of town, and we really got to think about and with intention what it is that community needs and how we can deliver it through the Eastland plan. So I like to hear about more housing, right? That is affordable. I like to hear about third spaces. I like to hear about more resources that can come, right? Building density in a neighborhood drives economic growth, right? Grocery stores want to come into town. And we know for a fact, like losing the Kroger off Refugee Road was a big deal.
Oh yes, I fought really hard for that, Tiara. I was at that store before it closed, and they had no idea that I was an accountant or a director of finance coming in. So when they were like, "Oh, we're not going to close this store," I said, "Okay, well, how are you going to make this measurable? How are you going to look at the gain loss? How are we going to do these things?" And sure enough, they closed the store, which put pressure on down at Refugee, the Kroger down there, pushing those people down, and then pushing up to the Saraga grocery store, where people are depending upon Saraga pretty much to keep afloat.
And some folks just can't get there, right? Like those are maybe too far away for some of the residents that are living near where the Kroger used to be. And so when you think about transportation infrastructure and making sure that folks can get from A to B and get to the various resources that they need every day, that refugee corridor, losing the grocery store there was a big deal. You have some of our largest apartment complexes right around that area. And so you have people that are low income workers that needed that grocery store. And so having lost it was a big deal. And so when you think about the Eastland plan and trying to bring back livelihood into the community, density is going to be super important, because that's the business model that drives the economic growth. That's when Kroger comes back to the table and says, "Oh, maybe this does work for our business model. Maybe we can have a grocery store here." And so thinking about what that looks like is super exciting. I would love to be boots on the ground and what that looks like, and even the implementation of it as the Eastland plan progresses and we see what we can make out of what was a historical landmark in our community and can return to that.
But that's amazing. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to Mid-Ohio Food Bank going into that Kroger over there.
Yes.
And to be able to service that area community. And I'm not going to lie to you. When they had the Mid-Ohio Food Bank come out, when the mayor was there to do his address, then it was highly delicious. We got like a soul food bowl, and it had like chicken and I'm from the South, so chicken and black eyed peas and bread and greens all in one. And when the city attorney did his address to us at Barnett, I saw the food over there. I was like, "Is that Mid-Ohio Food Bank?" And so that I had to stop and think, like, that means a lot. That that Mid-Ohio Food Bank is going to provide food for the community that's delicious. It's not, subpar, but it's something to look forward to. And so I'm really hoping that nothing within the heat and climate of all the changes going on will affect the Mid-Ohio Food Bank from going in over there.
Absolutely. I think it's incumbent upon us to double down on making sure that resources like the Mid-Ohio Food Collective can continue to operate and serve our community, because again, they are serving the most vulnerable every day, right? And we have lots of places in our cities that can be defined as food deserts, and so Mid-Ohio Food Collective fills those gaps and is a service that we must make sure we prioritize, particularly in these times. So Peaches, you're spot on.
Absolutely. Huh? Oh, am I still there with you guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah, I totally agree with y'all on this because and some people say that it's not about me, I get my groceries, whatever. It's a whole community problem because even like I said, the Kroger down on Refugee, the line is astronomical to get to your pharmacy to go
Right.
ahead and get your prescriptions, just to get your prescriptions, or just the store being overcrowded. And I think about the young moms, single parents, single dads, whomever, or grandmothers and grandfathers who would have to catch the bus and put all their groceries on the bus and then travel back over to that side. So that relief is going to be necessary. Shatana, are you back with us? I wanted
Yes,
to.
ma'am. I just joined on my cell phone.
I just wanted to make sure you were good to go. So go ask away.
Yes, ma'am. So I just wanted to kind of just piggyback on what you were talking about when you spoke about like the food insecurity and the food deserts. When we think about that, how do we plan on accommodating those who may not necessarily, I'm just going to say it, the elderly or the older people who also, they may not have the transportation, or they may not have, they can't afford some of the more expensive items. So are we going to like make sure that there's because I hear this a lot working with older people, like, oh, what about the elderly people? Taxes are increasing, groceries are high. What do we choose? So like, is there something in place where we can kind of combat both at the same time in this area?
Yeah, so I am also very much passionate about our senior community. I was telling Peaches, I think you had to drop off, that I was raised by my grandparents and they are my best friend, and so best friends. And so seeing them age and seeing the increase in costs to make sure that they can like retrofit their homes to accommodate handicaps or accommodate declining physical ability, rising costs in food, obviously healthcare, all of the things that you need, particularly when you become, um, you know, when you stop working, retire, and are on fixed income. Thinking about how we can deliver resources to our seniors is a big deal. I actually run an owner-occupied initiative docket out of the environmental court that recognizes the need or the financial barrier and also physical barrier of seniors who may not be able to fix their code violations, right? And so you get a lawsuit filed against you basically because you're an elderly individual and you have no ability or resources to fix them. And so we started this whole program to make sure that when elders are coming before the environmental court, we have all these resources that can help them fix their code violations at little to no cost. And so it is certainly a priority of mine to make sure that our elders are taken care of. And I think it becomes incumbent upon us to make sure that we are partnering with our county partners like the Office on Aging, partnering with organizations like Central Ohio Area on Aging, right? All of those places that have connections to our seniors and can inform us on what the needs are, where our seniors are, how do we make sure that they continue to receive the necessary funding so that they can make sure that they are engaging with our seniors and are able to deliver resources. I think that's super important. As we think about how we are growing and making sure we're growing equitably for everyone, not just the privileged few, but all of our community. All of us deserves to participate in this growth. And I think it's incumbent upon us to shore up those safety nets and making sure that we are reaching our seniors in all ways possible.
So that is so beautiful, and I thank you for that response. I actually just met I'm gonna say a young lady, and she just beautiful soul, beautiful spirit. And I was talking. Usually, when I'm working with my seniors, they're like, "We need to get the young people involved," and I'm like, "Well, we need the seniors." So we're kind of tasked with bridging the gap with the millennials and the seniors to help us work together to form a common cause. So hearing all that you're trying to do and implement is amazing. And like you mentioned, your grandparents are your best friends. My dad's a senior, my grandmother's a senior,
Yes.
and I love them with my whole heart. So anything I can do to put them in a better position or a better space, I'm all for it. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Our seniors helped build this community, right? I think it's incumbent
Right.
upon us to make sure that they are taken care of.
Absolutely. I mean, the seniors are important, but a thing that's on my heart really, Tiara, I'm from the South, so I might say your name.
Tiara. Tiara is how you say it.
Yes, Tiara, but I'm thinking of my grandparents as we speak it, how they would say it differently down in Georgia.
Right.
So I think what I want to know more about is, since we're the same age, the three of us, you know that the turnout and the concerns of our millennials are at a grand high. My question is, what are you doing to center the voices of young people in your campaign and policy making?
Sure. I think you're absolutely right. I think we have seen a disconnect and a distrust in institutions of all types. We're not trusting of our academic institutions as much as we used to be, not necessarily trusting of our religious institutions as much as we used to be, and certainly not trusting of our political institutions like we used to be. And I think the millennials have seen, we're almost in the middle of it, right? Like we've seen institutions that have helped us, right? My church is literal the foundation of me entering into service in my community. It's the reason why I understand my Black history. It's the reason why I understand my community in the way I understand it. And so I recognize the benefit of institutions when they are operating for the good, or they're operating according to what they were meant to do. But I think that as we have progressed as a community, our institutions are no longer serving the community like they should. And I think part of that is because we are not in community. And so again, back to my original point, Peaches, Shatana, like it is incumbent upon leaders who are our age or even younger to make sure that we return back to people. To make sure that we bring government back to real people. I say this all the time, apathy, atrophy, all of that sets in when people don't feel like they have buy-in. And a lot of times we're just making decisions for the sake of making decisions without including the community, without walking with the community and understanding what it is that they need. And so to center our voices, one, we got to have more young leaders. We have to have more young people raising their hands with lived experience to know, to have lived through a recession, right? To have graduated when there were no jobs available, right? To have lived with our parents for way too long because the housing crisis caused us to not be able to afford to live there, right? Imagine a whole Juris Doctorate and not able to buy your own home, right? Or succumbing to the cost of rising housing costs. That's a big deal. And I think having the lived experience is super important to be able to, not have to be taught what it means, but to have to actually have lived what it means is important from an advocacy perspective. But it also, it allows us we have the energy and the ability to be out in the community, to make sure that we are educating our community, to make sure that we are present in our communities. And I think when you show up for community, they show up for you. And oftentimes we just aren't showing up. And we don't take the engagement part of community. We don't take that as seriously as we should.
I wholeheartedly agree. I feel like you took the words out of my mouth, and it's relatability. So like when you mentioned like having your whole Juris Doctorate and not being able to afford, there's so many people in our shoes that are still struggling. It's like we got the education like they told us to, and here we are. We did everything that we were right on the right path, and it's still so difficult. So when we have people who may not have followed the same path as us and have the same accomplishments as us, they're like, if they can't do it, I can't do it. So then they're going to drop off.
I think she might be frozen. Peaches, can you hear her? Because I can't.
Oh, she lost.
Am I frozen?
I can hear. Can you hear her, Tiara?
I could not. I'm so sorry. And I feel like you were going.
I know, right? And I was listening because I can hear. I don't know why you can't hear.
I could not. And I saw Peachy shaking her head. I was like, Shatana must be preaching, but I can't hear a word.
She was going on
Can
about
you hear me now?
She was hearing what you just said for sure. Can you, Shatana, you want to speak? Let's see if we can hear, if she can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. No, I was just saying relatability and how when we are successful, we did everything that we were supposed to do. We went out, we got our education, we got our careers, and we're still not accomplishing some of those goals. Like it looks hard. So when people who may be our same age, who may not have reached that level, when they see we're still struggling, they're going to fall off the bandwagon. And no, there's timing, but I would love to get them in a room and just tell them everything is supposed to happen when it's supposed to happen. It's on God's time. And I really truly honestly think you have to bridge the conversation with a little bit of church. You gotta bring it back in. And I think building that village, building that community is where we need to get at. And that's gonna be an obstacle because it's hard. But
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly agree with what you said.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always bring church and a little bit of preach back into the fold because that's just the foundation of who I am. But I also think, we have to also recognize that maybe the traditional academic process is not for everybody, right? Um,
Exactly.
we don't see, I remember being in high school, there was a career center that recognized the need for alternative forms of education to get
Right.
folks into the trades early, right? Like there are a ton of apprenticeships that are run by our labor partners that will literally pay you to learn how to do a trade. And as we think
Right.
about the growth of Columbus, there's construction that's going to happen, right? When we think about Link Us or all of these jobs that are going to be created that you don't necessarily need a college degree for. And I believe in education. I believe that education is the one thing that no one can take away from you. But I
That part.
also believe that there are multiple avenues to get to where you need to go and to work with dignity, right? And to be able
And
to
take
get
get
food,
success.
take
Yeah.
care of your family,
Hmm.
put food on your table. And so I do think that, it's a disservice to say that the only way that you can be successful in our community is to go to college and earn 3 or 4 degrees and rack up $200,000 in debt, right? There are other opportunities for working families, and we ought to be creating pathways to employment and creating pathways to folks so that they can work with dignity and be able to thrive in our community and not just survive.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You said a whole word. Yes,
Right.
ma'am.
Exactly. I mean, the pathways
Yeah.
um, are very important, and it's very important to be able. I know that in commission, I hear, oh, small business minority owners. They're like, oh, well, I'm having a difficult challenge navigating the systems within the city of Columbus to be able to start my small business. And sometimes I'm always like a skeptic on everything. I question everything. Like you said, college and school is important, and I've taken my share of advantage of it. But but I just went to see. Sometimes, like you said, Saraga, I want to go on my off time. I want to go and visit and see what the experience is. And with Humanity First Ohio, I went forth and I tried to just go through the process, going through small business administration and different things like that. And some of the things that the community said was true. So, I'm wondering what it is that we can do to make it so, because a lot of people, what I hear from banks is that they have tons of funding and grants that the people can access, and they're pretty
It's
much
not
going
applying.
trying to get people applying. But I think that there's a disconnect between small business minority assistance and things of that nature, so that the community can reach out and the process can be simplified. So I mean, what are your thoughts on small businesses? I know we were talked about the growth of people taking care of our senior citizens, but we want to see these communities thrive, right? And as a commission, we hear these complaints, but what do you think city council can do to make it more transitional, so that people with maybe language barriers
Yeah.
or our new Americans or anyone who wants to try to start a small business can access some of these benefits of City of Columbus?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Small businesses are the heart of our economy, are the heart of our community, and it is incumbent upon us to make sure that individuals who are entrepreneurs in that space and are employing members of our community and giving back to our community are supported. And I think part of it is goes back to my original statement. We are resource rich and oftentimes connection poor because one, we expect those small business owners to come to us for that information. So I think one thing that we can do is reverse course on that. We should be thinking about an engagement model that goes and meets people where they are. To be able to provide that education. I think we are a global city and we have to level set on that, meaning there are more of us that make up the minority coalition than there are that make up the majority. So what that means is like English cannot be the only language that we have by which we are providing education and information to our community. So from the bottom up, when we think about policies and when we think about procedures, translation and making sure it's translated in as many languages as possible should be built into the fabric of how we do business as a city. And I think from a council perspective, you know, the administration are our legs and feet, right? They actually do the work to deliver the service to the community. Council serves as oversight over those functions, right? And so there are going to be committees and departments that are going to be assigned to council members that are already assigned to council members. If I make it to council, that will be assigned to me. What we need to do is, and what I would be passionate about and committed to, is making sure that diversity is not only celebrated out of our mouths, but in our deeds and in our practices and in our policies, right? And so when we think about diversity of this community, we ought to be making sure that resources are accessible for our small businesses to individuals that look different from the majority, right? So if we have small businesses that are made up of folks that don't speak English but speak another language, all of the information that we're giving out in English ought to be translated in whatever language that needs to be translated in. I was talking through and I heard some ideas about having a language access office. I am not big on creating another office for another thing because that creates more bureaucracy, right? It's more red tape to have to get through. I think if we level set and make it so we are mandating our expectations as a city, like we can build that into the fabric of how departments are already doing business, right? There can be an audit of language access, right? We can look at every document that we give out, every video that we make, every piece of technology that we have. Is it accessible to everybody? And I think that is how we make sure our resources are accessible. And I think we do, you know, I've seen the Office of Diversity and Inclusion start to have more of these sessions where they're teaching small businesses how to access grants from the city or dollars from the city to do work or nonprofits, things like that. We need to do more of that. But again, the last one I think happened at City Hall, but I can barely get to City Hall. Right. And I'm somebody that works for government, right? Like, let's do it in the communities that actually need the information. Let's do it consistently. Right. And then when we can't be there in person, let's make sure we have information that's readily available, not just on the internet. Not everybody has access to the internet. Even in 2025, we have communities that have a hard time accessing Wi-Fi. So we need to think about multiple avenues by which we are educating our community and making sure that we're going out into the communities that need to hear from us the most, that need that information.
You're absolutely
Beautifully
right.
spoken.
Wow, I know Tiara gonna preach tonight, right?
No, she's great. She's amazing. I love it. I love it.
That how you feel like you're sitting in church, and that's State Rep Latina Humphrey. How do you feel like you're sitting in church? Now we gotta add it.
Preach. I have no ability to do what Latina Humphrey does. Every time I hear her speak, we're in full church. But having been raised by a preacher, it's hard for that not to rub off on you just a little bit. And I'm a lawyer, so I always say I'm probably a preacher without the anointing. Every day, I'm trying to convince somebody that what I have to say is on the right side. So.
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, we talked about community. We talked about our seniors. We talked about, involving area commissions and getting people in the community to be able to access, services and things, to be able to further not just themselves. Because when we thrive individually, we are a connected part of our community. So If you're in one profession or the next, I want my neighbor to thrive because they're my neighbor's kids. They play with my kids. And and so on and so forth. I want my teachers. We have teachers in our community. I want them to thrive because then our kids will thrive, right? So having access to these benefits are, that the city of Columbus is going to have is going to be definitely important. I think so. I'm almost wrapping up, but I think I always have to ask a tough question. It all started with Miss Beatty because I'm from Atlanta, and I'm like, first got here to Ohio, and I'm like, I don't know you, Miss Joyce. What do you have to offer? And you already know. So I think my tough question is which one did I want to ask you? I wanted to ask you, if elected, what would you refuse to compromise on, even if it costs you politically?
I'm not compromising on diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Beautiful.
Call it what you want, but the work of it must continue. And I'm not doing that. One, I think folks have got to recognize that, the label is something that's being used and being weaponized, right? Like the DEI, the label is being weaponized, right? The work of diversity and equity and inclusion benefits all of us, not just those of us with a brown hue or those of us that call ourselves Black Americans. In fact, it benefits folks that don't look like us more than it benefits us. But it's important for us to understand that none of us are monolithic. I could literally have a twin and she and I, or he and I, would be different, right? And diversity, equity, and inclusion is the recognition that we are all different. And there are systemic barriers that have been put in place for a long time. And there are systems that were created to do harm. And if there are no checks on those systems, then they're going to work themselves out in the way in which they were created to work themselves out. And so I will die on the hill of diversity, equity, and inclusion. I don't care what you call it, but the work of it must continue.
Yes, ma'am.
It has to continue. I mean, did you see what happened at Ohio State University? It's devastating. It's devastating because the work that has been put in over the years, it almost seems like it could disappear from your hands, in front of your face. There's so much that OSU has to offer. My oldest 14-year-old has autism, and he very, very, very much looks forward to going to Ohio State for college because their autism program that they have is uncompromised. They got the dorms for those students with disabilities. They give them the experience like everyone else and be able to thrive. But, as a community member and as a parent, I'm like, well, if you're going to not have DEI, what does that mean for my son? What does that mean for the community kids that are looking forward to these programs, not just at the colleges, but, any kid with a disability wants to go up and do the work like what you're doing. Not having those programs makes it all the more difficult to achieve such goals.
Yep, absolutely. How do you get a fair shake, right?
Right.
How are we level setting the playing field? It is a recognition of our history. And again, those are the things that I am not willing to compromise on. There are a couple other things I'm not willing to compromise on, but that's at the top of my my brain right now and at the center of my heart right now, obviously because of the attacks that we are seeing. And so again, call it what you will, but I don't know that anybody, when we call it exactly what it is, diversity, equity, and inclusion, can say that those are not things that are needed, that should be celebrated, that should be worked on and fulfilled every day, right? So yeah, I'm not compromising on that.
So I really want to appreciate your courage. So I'm a federal employee, work for the DoD, and they wipe it out of the entire organization. There's not a trace, and they're trying to fill the room with, white men. That's just what they want to see. And it's like, but you know how many people of color that elevated the organization, took it to a new height, and like, that doesn't count for nothing in your eyes. So to hear that you're still fighting strong for this, it's beautiful. I love it. I respect it. Keep the fight pushing, girl. like whatever you need. This is important. And I have 4 children. I have 2 girls and 2 boys, and they all need to know there's a level playing field. You're not better than the next person. They're not better than you. We are all capable of being treated equal with the same rights, the same goals, same aspirations. So don't let nobody dim your light. And I'm clapping over here, girl.
Listen, we must take care of one another, because if we don't take care of each other, who else will? We can't expect anyone else to take care of us. We gotta have one another's back, particularly in this moment, as Black women, right? But as humans, right? As
Exactly.
humans living a human
Humanity
experience.
first.
Yeah.
Humanity first.
First. Wow.
And
What
that's
a
but that's
serendipitous moment. That was
that
full
I
circle.
know, but that's how I
Wow.
came to the conclusion,
Wow.
because when things started to shift and changes, I started hearing things from, my friends over at Big, and my friends over in the commission, and my friends at Stonewall, and all the people that I communicate with and commune with. Then some people were like, well, some people do take up our taxes, or some people do this. And I kept saying, no, humanity first. If the house is on fire, then we need to worry about getting the people out, getting people safe, getting people trained. Humanity first is pretty much, it's nonpartisan, but it's about, okay, well, if you do want to fight, then you're going to have to know how the system works, right? Taking everybody back to 5th grade civics, taking people back to learning the basics, the government, law, and how things are ran, so that when we do come to city council, we are prepared and understand what you guys' job is, and so we can direct our movement accordingly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mentioned that.
So, Miss Tiara, I do have a question, and I'm going to start with this. If you don't want to answer it, that's fine. This is conversationalist. I talk to a lot of people, and everybody has an opinion.
Did she go out again?
Can you hear
Come
me?
back to us.
Yeah,
Rafa?
you're back. You're back.
Am I talking out?
Nope, you're back.
So, and I'm probably going to be quoting this wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. You were endorsed by, I believe, all 9 council members so far.
Yes.
So what I've been hearing, I'm gonna say word on the streets, like back to that word on the streets is, some people feel like it's not a, I don't want to say the word fair advantage, but let the voters choose for themselves without letting elected officials kind of put you in a more spotlight. So how would you answer that question to some people who may have concerns that other candidates may not get the same fair chance that you got? And I know it's just not your fault. No, you didn't ask for this, right? But it is what it is. People are talking about it. So I just feel like I would ask. And if you don't want to answer it, that's perfectly fine.
Oh, absolutely. I'm okay with answering it. One, I'm proud of having been endorsed by the current council members. And I will tell you that the reason I believe I was endorsed by the current council members, one, they didn't just decide they were gonna like pluck me and endorse me. One, you gotta ask for an endorsement, right? Like if you want an endorsement, you have to ask for it. And I believe that the reason why is because I have worked with all of them in some way or another to help this community. And some of them I have worked with for the entire 7 years that I've been at the city attorney's office. Some of them, because I am a native of Columbus and they are also natives of Columbus, we grew up together, right? And so we consider one another family, which is important when you're going to work with someone. Some of them we've worked through crisis together, right? I was at Sawyer Towers on Christmas Day when we had to evacuate those folks, helping people take stuff down 13 flights of stairs because the elevators weren't working. And I did that work alongside some council members, right? And so I believe part of it is their faith in me because of the work that we've done together. And I'm proud of that. I'm also proud of all of the other community leaders that are not electeds that have lined up behind me in support of me because of the work that I've done in this community. And at the end of the day, May 6th, people still have the opportunity to vote.
Exactly.
People still have the opportunity to vote. And I'm excited that we have a primary. I am excited that we are seeing democratic process in action. I think it's great. I think it's great for our community. And I think that, I cannot not be proud of the work that I've been able to do. And it's the reason why I am choosing to continue to advocate. I just see it as an opportunity to move on to a different spot of the continuum of care, right? I'm caring for our residents right now in a big way. And I want to continue to be able to do that. And having the support of council helps me in doing that. But at the end of the day, my intent is to never ride on the coattails of anybody. I'm going to earn this vote just like everyone else. I'm knocking doors just like everyone else. I'm having conversations like this just like everyone else. I'm answering tough questions just like everyone else. I'm calling people, asking people, I don't know, from Adam for money, just like everyone else, right? This is not an opportunity for me to sit back and not earn the vote of everybody. It is an opportunity for me to do the work. As I have done, and I believe that the endorsement is a recognition of that, and I'm proud to have it.
I am so glad for that answer, girl. Because I'm so busy with life. So hearing that like firsthand, it's more understandable. It's more, I can put a true answer behind it. So if somebody is like, oh, this, no, absolutely not. That's no, ma'am. She's out here working, So hearing it come from you, it definitely puts it more into perspective. And I hope to help shed light on some of the work that you're doing from my own experience and just communicating with you. So thank you for your response. I appreciate it.
And I think it's so important, Tiara, because that's why programs like Humanity First is so important, because I mean, you can hear these things. We don't have a lot of time in the outside world to sit down and hear from you. And it just, while you were talking, what came to mind is how, again, when you started off in the community, you were helping. Back before it was a title, you were working with the community, you were helping. At some point when in your leadership, you talk about church. I'm from the old church, so you take up your mantle, and
yes!
at that point, you've not been on the scene, you've not been forward in the camera's eye, and with everyone to see all of the work and all the tears and all of the things and all the joys and all of your wins, in that time, because the lights and the cameras and all the things weren't on you then. And so that just came, I was just appreciative because that just came to my mind, how one can think, oh, you just arrived on the scene, but they don't know who you've had to talk to, who you've had to cry with in the community, who you've had to figure out a way how to help out of no way, to make, connections and do different things, and to get to this point where, you are going for the next progression is only rightfully so. I mean, Shatana, you went from your promotion to being able to be promoted to that next level, and you've taken all of your experience from accounting with you, and now rightfully so you sit there. And the same for me with Humanity First. It's just a progression. So I'm glad to hear you say that, because I think that's going to clear up a lot for the community for you, that you have been putting in that work. We just haven't been able to see it. And it is a good thing that it's a portion of your experience that can't be seen, because that doesn't show that you're boastful, or any of those types of things. Don't get me quoting scripture. My mom will chime in.
Listen, we'll be here for the rest of the night having Bible study, because I'll stay here with you. I promise you I will. I promise you. Well, I certainly appreciate the question and appreciate you allowing me space to be able to respond to it. Certainly, thank you to Humanity First, and Shatana, thank you for joining the conversation, for building space and time to really get to know all of us. Each of us as candidates. It is not a small feat to raise your hand and want to serve in this type of public way for any of us. And so I appreciate you offering up this opportunity and being a safe space to maybe take off some of the masking, right, that you sometimes have to do when you're in those large open forums, and giving us an opportunity to really explain who and show who it is that we really are. And particularly for me, my deep care for this community, and wanting to see all of us be better and in a better place. I heard Council President yesterday say, we want to look back on this moment and say Columbus is not just bigger, but we are better.
Yes.
And there's tons of work to be done, and I'm excited to roll up my sleeves and continue in that work.
I told them, how do we keep up with you afterwards, Tiara? Because
Sure.
Humanity First, we want to be able to connect with you so we can get any information, to the community that you would want to have. That's with any candidates, because again, we're nonpartisan, but we want to stay connected because,
Yes.
Despite the race and everything, you are doing some excellent work. And I would like to, Shatana, let me know if I'm right or wrong here, but I'd love to be able to keep up with you and to just keep you connected to our community and likewise.
Yes. So from a campaign perspective, my campaign email is info@tiaraross.com. Anyone is welcome to shoot me an email there. I am on all the social media platforms, and I'm most engaged on Instagram. You can find me at Tiara N, as in Nancy Ross, and you can find me on Facebook. I believe the same, Tiara N Ross, to make it very easy. Please follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook. We're out here, we're every weekend, 2 or 3 times a week. We're out knocking on doors, talking to folks in our community. I welcome anyone to join Team Ross is what we call it, and help us to communicate with our community and really engage. It's been great learning and really identifying all of the values that I have, connecting them to the values of the greater community, and talking about ways that what we want to see, right? The Columbus that we want to see. And I say we with intention, because it is not just me. It is not just those of us in leadership. It's all of us. So I appreciate everyone. Feel free, share my Instagram, share my email. To your organizations and to the folks that you communicate with every day. We would love to have you.
You are so
perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Tonight. So before we have you go, I'm going to put you front and center, and we would love for you to just talk to your community and say whatever it is on your heart that you want the community to know about you, that you really don't get the opportunity to share, again, because of time constraints or what have you, that you really want them to know about you. And so I want to give you the floor.
Thank you. Well, Columbus, certainly thank you for the opportunity to potentially continue in service. It has been the honor of my life to have served the residents of the city of Columbus for the last 7 years. I certainly look forward to be able to take the lessons learned from my time as a city attorney and to be able to continue to advocate, continue being an ear and an advocate for the folks who I have served over the last 7 years. I'm raising my hand not because I believe that I'm perfect, but because I care. And I think it is the audacity to care that really is going to lead me to ask the hard questions, to be accountable to you, to make sure that we are making the best decisions for every one of us here in the city of Columbus. I'm so excited about the growth that we are about to see, but it is incumbent that this growth is equitable and that everyone can participate in the growth, everyone who is so fortunate enough to call Columbus home. So thank you all. I look forward to earning your vote. Hope that you would think about me on May 6th as we plow through to the primary and then again to the general. Please do not hesitate to reach out, ask your questions. If you are excited about the work that we intend to do and are doing right now, I would love to have you. We're knocking doors again 2 to 3 times a week and on the weekends. I've got yard signs. We're on social media. There are a ton of ways to plug in, and I would love to have you. Thank you so much for this time.
Thank you so much, Tiara. See, I'm gonna keep
Tiara. Girl, I wanted to correct you so bad. Girl, that's Tiara.
I know it. I can't stand people's names just being,
It's okay. You gotta think
I've been practicing before I met you. I was like, you're not gonna say it wrong. You're not gonna say it wrong.
Most
So,
people are like, instead of saying Sierra, they'll just say Tiara, and it helps them pronounce
And
it.
and Tiara's from Atlanta, so you should definitely remember that now.
I
Okay.
know, right? I know. Hey,
See? See?
well, we appreciate
Beautiful.
your time for sure. For sure. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Peaches. Thank you,
You are
Shatana.
the
You're welcome, and good luck with May 6th. Is she drop? Okay.
best. Did I click too fast? I'll bring her back.
Sorry, I thought I was still here.
I'm bringing you back. She
No,
was
I said good luck with May 6th.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
we didn't want to let her go. Okay.
I
Well,
know.
we thank you so much for everything.
Bye.
Good luck on the
Anytime.
sound, and we'll see you soon.
Thank-
Did I
This was a great talk. I love the discussion. And I
talk.
almost feel like she's relatable, and I don't know if it's because, like, we're all the same age, so like we got that whole millennial vibe going on, and I don't feel like I'm talking to my elder, and I have to have a certain level of etiquette. But it was just such a good conversation, and she was dead on with the targets, with the questions, and I'm excited to see what happens in May. I don't know.
Excited. And we're still live, and I thought, we really recap at the end about our thoughts. We've heard from all three now, and man, is this going to be a tough one, because each one has something so unique to offer.
Right.
I mean, geez, I'm speechless at each one. But we have three great, amazing candidates for sure. And I'm telling you, I'm never speechless, but just to think about what we heard.
Right.
Tiara.
Yes. Get it right.
Yes. She talked about a lot of good things. She talked about our senior citizens, what she hopes for her role, where her heart is, where she began, how important it is for, food deserts, DEI not being compromised. That's something she's not willing to compromise on. She's very sure. So, I mean, what is your takeaway, Shatana? What do you feel about this?
First and foremost, the DEI. As you have daughters, I have daughters, so we need the equity. We need it. We need it. And I'm raising my daughters to be that woman that goes out into the world with her crown on her head, and she's strong and she's smart, and she's not going to be belittled, so I love that fight that she has in her. She's not backing down, and that's resilience, because I know at the end of the day, when you go home and you're dealing with the backlash that come with it, it's not an easy feat. So for her to keep continuing to do that despite whatever's going on nationwide, beautiful. I love it.
I
I
know.
love it.
I'm just so happy to have, Team Humanity First. Because it's not until someone tells you the reason behind their drive and what it is that they're doing, that then it's like a light that just comes over you, and you're like, wow, okay. So yes, we do hear that, the Divine Nine or all city council members endorsed her, and some people are looking at that, but her light that she shed, that information that she let us know, that I have been working. You don't just get picked and put in the seat. You actually do have to earn it. You have to ask for it. You have to show proof. And so her work ethic, working with teams and people in the city of Columbus individually, when she probably got ready to ask, the proof was in the pudding already. She had been doing the work. So I think
we don't we're never going to dim her light. But I don't know, because I didn't ask this of the last candidates, but we don't know if they actually asked. But I don't want to make it seem like they're not putting in the work either. They are also putting in they're also very much putting in the work. But so we're not going to dim anybody's like nobody's not working, but she's blessed and highly favored. We leave it at that. Blessed and highly favored. What she really touched me at was the singers, with her relationship with her grandparents. I told you my dad's a singer, my grandmother, and like I would do anything to make sure that they're safe. to make sure that they have stable housing, to make sure that they have food. So hearing all the efforts that she's doing to making sure that the elderly will still be respected, that they will still not be belittled or demeaned or ridiculed for not having more than a little bit, so beautiful. And it's almost like she's a selfless leader. She's thinking about others before she thinks about herself. There was one question I did want to ask her, and I may send her an email about the homelessness because, like I mentioned, she's very selfless. I noticed over there off of Refugee Road, they have those little tiny homes, and those tiny homes are built for people that have maybe addiction or some sort of mental. But would the city of Columbus be willing to make something like that in different areas for the homeless people? We volunteered at the YWCA, but we don't have that on my side of town.
It would be nice if they could transition from the YWCA into, and I'm going to tell you what, I went by those tiny homes and they look gorgeous. It looks quiet. It's clean. If I was a single person, hey, I would, because it's not, again, like it's with like Mid-Ohio Food Collective, right? Like I'm excited for the next City of Columbus event when they have that food. Is that food is for the people who need to have those types of services. Now those tiny houses are definitely, they're high level, top notch places where your dignity is not compromised.
Exactly.
For me.
Yeah, so that was anything I would ask her. That's probably a question I would do as a follow-up. But other than that, she did great. She's very well spoken, and I love a good girl talk. I love good girl session. So yes, thank you so much, Peaches, for this opportunity. I appreciate you. I appreciate Humanity First, Ohio. I appreciate Blacks in Government because we're here.
Shout out
And
to Team Big Hearts.
Yes, seem big. So I don't have anything else to add. Thank you again for this whole platform. Looking forward to the next one.
I know, right? Absolutely. I sure am. And any time spent with you, Shatana, is great. And I don't regret missing tonight's city address. I can go back and rewatch that. But this is something that I think, just talking to all three of these candidates that I'll take with me. So it's priceless. And I'm so glad that we were able to bring this to the community. And hopefully some light bulbs are open for them when they go to the ballot box. They can see better about what it is that they want to, what decision they're going to make. And I feel great that you and I played a part in bringing clarity to some people so that they can
definitely
because they have had the opportunity to see and hear from these candidates, and we've tried to take a step back as much as we can to shed light on the community, the members, candidates, so that they can show you who they truly are.
Yes, ma'am. Perfect.
Thank you, Ms.
All right.
We appreciate
Thank you, Ms. Peaches. Yes, ma'am.